We've got a Zoom creative workshop with the poet John Hegley Saturday morning, 10 a.m. till 12. There's a £5 booking fee through Eventbrite, but if anybody's still wanting to book a place, just give me a shout or Susan a shout, and we can send you the information if you're interested. Yeah, 'cause there's just a few spaces left, so it would be nice to fill those up. And yeah,
It'll be lots of fun. Come and have a go. It'll be
yeah,
enjoyable. And it's something happening in the Carlisle area. Hooray.
yeah. Don't be one of those who said, "I wish I would have gone if I'd known it would be good." Be there. Okay, so welcome to Poets Out Loud meet SpeakEasy Online, and it's November already, and I've got a piece because today is actually Remembrance Day, the 11th, it's Armistice Day. So this one goes like this. It's called "We Remember Them," and I do reference one of the well-known World War One poets at the beginning as well. Boom, 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 roared the guns. Giant cannons, mechanical killing machines, cavalry chargers and foot soldiers, bogged down in the putrid mud and the stench of a new kind of warfare, fought from dugouts to barbed wire, holes in the ground, a reinforced trench. 19th century strategies played out by the top brass. Tommy and Jerry led to their fate. Send 3 and 4pence, we're going to a dance. Slaughter en masse. Uniforms of brown, khaki, grey and blue, stained with the same dark red blood bleeding through. A landscape scarred and potholed. A nightmarish depiction of hell. A hell on earth. Young men laid down their lives so liberty and freedom survives. Winds of change through fields of green and crimson will blow, where years later a sacrifice is remembered, in those fields where poppies grow. There you are. Thank you. Okay, Kelly.
Thanks. I know we're careering hastily from autumn to winter, but here's one more autumn poem about a little oak tree that I'm very fond of on a walk I do near where I live. The oak tree on the path to the sea. She's thrown away her headscarf and taken out her rollers. She's letting her curly brown leaves blow in the autumn breeze. Under her acorn-patterned pinafore, her sturdy trunk soaks up the rain into her wrinkled limbs and every twiggy finger. Soon she'll be sparkling with frost, seeing her reflection in glassy puddles. But her head won't be turned. She'll stand firm as a fisherman's wife, watching for his boat to come in, waiting for the warmth of spring.
That was great. Thank you very much. Richard, have you got one for us? Hopefully the internet will be okay.
So, there we go. Yeah, I got one I wrote actually today. And it's called If We Should Laugh. And it's a bit about being happy while things are not going too well, if you like. And if we should laugh when we want to cry, are we filled with glee? Then will the tears just dry? Or if we may smile to disguise all the pain, does agony leave? Perhaps that is a gain. Then if we chuckle, be it under our breath, are we more ready to face up to our death? Standing at the edge, Do we dare to chortle, demise overtakes, for we all are mortal. But where do we go? I see you wear a frown. How will you be judged? There's only up or down. That's it.
Thank you very much. Cool. Jeanette.
Hello.
Oh.
This Victimize the Words group used to be part of, unfortunately the group's no longer, but it's called Passages. It's written in mind of the World War I tunnellers, considering its Remembrance Day today. Childhood to colliery, companions throughout, terrified in silent secrecy, we listen, then detonate. Colliery to carnage, co-workers we remain, a war of nerves immersed in dark struggle. Childhood to colliery to carnage, death tries to divide with carbon monoxide, suffocation or explosion. Carnage to hopefulness, alliance worth much more if our tunnels of protection show the future light.
That was great. Thank you very much. Tony.
Right. As I'm about to bring the tone down a bit now, you don't know and you hear something on
Is the sound on or off?
the news, and it makes you feel a bit sick. Well, this poem is all about it, and I've called it I Feel Sick. So many ways to vomit and so much need to emit. Each obit of horror or news served by suit or flak or jacket acts as an emetic. Was it always thus? Was there always a point when tender souls, like ours, would soul it no longer and had to chunder? Omitting through ages add violence to innocence, heaving, hurling, hawking, spewing, puking, boking, such blowing of chunks, such unquenchable flows through gullets and mouths to all those affronted floors. The recent meals looking like our diced insides. We are hollowed out with just enough strength to slalom past sick pools to reach our back garden or our nearest patch of green. Then breezes cool our sweat and our stomachs start to settle. Saliva returns. We swill and spit out the remnants. Now we look around. Bird, weed, bud, bough, non staring our nature, that they go about business purely ignored and nourished. And that's it.
Thanks, Tony. I think there was a lot of puking in that.
What's a puke?
Very good. Follow that, Susan.
Okay, this is an exercise that we did with the writers group, just to try and keep creativity going when we're rather empty of head. It's to write a few sentences, or however many sentences you like, or however many words you like, well, 26 in minimum, in alphabetical order. So try and tell a little story with your words starting with the alphabetical order. So this was my offering. A bone-crushing deity exacting foul, gruesome, heinous ignominities, justified knowingly, looks mighty, Norman observed. Peter quietly remained stoic, though understood verisimilitude would xenophobically yield zealots.
Brilliant.
I think it's a tale for our time.
Yeah, very much. Excellent stuff. George, what have you got for us?
Yeah, there's something I wrote today. I wasn't actually going to do it, and then when it started, I thought I'd go with this. So I better explain a couple of things. First of all, hippomorphize is actually the opposite of anthropomorphize. This is when horses trying to interpret some form of understanding into the things that humans do. And the other one is that warrior was the famous war horse from World War I. I might say something really sad about that at the end, but I don't know if you know this story. He was known as the horse that the Germans couldn't kill because he went through the whole war, and the Canadian general chap who lived in the Isle of Wight, actually, but he actually bred the horse, and it used to follow him about almost like a dog. It was famous. So anyway, this is Prayer of Warrior to the God of all things. Do ye hear my neigh? I shouldn't hippomorphize, but I try to understand man. Here's part of us, even if he pretends to be special. I carried him through shell and bullet, saw how tribal he is, how pitiless, in his pursuit of field and gully, heedless of the green sweet grass, the birds of hedgerow. Man is careless of life. God of the pastures, when you gave him hands, was it for the plough or the bayonet?
Was it so he could touch another, or for those games of death? Weary of gas and gun stench, sorrow of battles in my nostrils, hooves deep in the blood of his triumphs, I rejoice at home in the life I knew, summer meadows and cool breezes. Now they cheer me, call me hero for surviving what they delivered. O God of the handless, why? But just as a final comment, what it really quite upset me today when I read this, because I knew about this horse, and he died the horse died in 1941. He was 32, 33 years old. I assumed he died because he was old. The guy that he'd carried through all these wars and been with him had him shot. Well, I'm saying shot, but he destroyed him because they thought that they couldn't afford to have him eat corn during rationing in World War II. So this hero of the nation had loved and done all these battles was executed on the basis that he wasn't necessary anymore.
That's heartbreaking.
Are you going to write about that? About the injustice?
I don't know, Susan. It's one of those things that it was actually to do with a prompt, and the prompt was actually meant to be something uplifting, and that was as uplifting as I got. Was the horse coming back? I'm not even sure about the last stanza. I might drop that one, but when I read the bit about, and not a lot of the things that you read about just said he died in 1941, and I kind of assumed it was because, and probably partly he was old, etc. But equally, the guy when he had him put down said, "I didn't think I could justify the corn to sustain him during these times of austerity," and I thought, yeah, in some ways you can see that, but in other ways you're saying, sorry, this is the horse that carried you through all these battles and kept you alive, and that you thought was the kind of, your huge companion. And I would find that really quite, I don't know. I know that people had to do these things, but
yeah,
there's not much uplifting about war, is there?
Not at all.
No, nothing. No, that's the thing. And I started to try and reverse it. You know how we're always saying you shouldn't impose human emotions onto animals. I thought, but what if the animals are all sitting there thinking, "You are a shower of bastards. You really are."
Yeah.
Animals have characters and personalities. They might not be humans, but they have personality.
Yeah, I mean, I do not believe this thing about you. I've had dogs for years, and they had different personalities, and they had a pretty shrewd understanding of what was going on. I'm not saying they thought exactly the same way as we do, but broadly speaking, they know whether they're happy, and they know whether they're sad, and they know whether they hate your guts or not. So, and I reckon that if you gave them all the vote, most of us would not be here. We'd probably be ruled by ants or something like that, because they'd look around and say, the ants actually work for each other and do a lot of things. I think we should get rid of you lot.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yeah,
not too philosophical. Sorry about that.
No,
I'll shut up now,
great.
Phil.
No, that's wonderful. Oh.
Death of a horse actually leads me quite nicely into this one, but this might seem a bit flippant in comparison. A bit of an intro, really. A while ago, I started thinking about the situation that we are living through. Well, this was during the first lockdown. And I started putting together a number of writings, poetry and prose on the theme of limbo. And I came upon, or I remembered, I dredged up from memories of years ago, the story or the legend of Buridan's ass. Now, I don't know how many of you are acquainted with the legend of Buridan's ass. But Jean Buridan was a 14th century French philosopher, and he formulated the dilemma of moral determinism, which basically is, do I do this or do I do that? And if I don't do this and I don't do that, what happens? And somebody satirized this in the story of Buridan's ass. There's a donkey, of course, caught between, it depends on the version, the version that I favour, is between two bales of hay to eat. And he thinks, should I start on this bale or should I start on that bale? Eventually, unable to make up his mind, he dies of starvation. This is a piece of doggerel, which is called, quite simply, Buridan's Ass. Buridan's ass has a problem. It's one that won't go away. The problem is that he's hungry and faced with two bales of hay. Which to eat first is the question, the one on the left or the right? Or should he first try the taste test, taking of both just a bite, to see which one's more delicious, succulent, juicy and sweet, higher in nutrient value, in short, the better to eat? Thus musing, he starts to consider and apply some rational thought. Let's reckon up both of their merits. But here he finds himself caught upon the horns of dilemma. If I decide on bale A, does this mean I'm rejecting the other bundle of hay? But then, if it's B that I go for, that means that the die may be cast in favour of this over that one. So maybe the answer's to fast. So Buridan's ass makes his mind up not to make up his mind, to ignore the pangs of his hunger and steel himself to be blind to discomfort. Why not go hungry? He says while heaving a sigh. It's no more than mind over matter, and there is no reason why I should eat one rather than t'other. And then, shaking his head, he sinks to his knees from starvation, keels over, and promptly falls dead.
Yeah.
I said it was flippant.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. Tick that box. Yeah, that was good.
Perfect dilemma for our polarized times.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, John Scrivens, can you follow that? Oh, sorry, you're on mute. Hang on.
Unmute. Ta-da. Okay,
Cool.
good. I was going to do another one, but you've reminded me that it's Armistice Day, and I know I'd done a couple of sonnets about this. I think I read them at Cockermouth a year or two back on the centenary, and they were both prompted by the film Oh What a Lovely War, which I commend to you. And I'll read the first one now. It's more about the general picture of the war, lions led by donkeys and so on. The generals in their polished brass. The generals pass the port and tittle-tattle, quite careless of the pieces in their game. The Western Front, the Balkans, all the same. Battalions on a whim cast into battle. There, zigzag herded, biddable as cattle, they die in droves in random fields of shame. They quietly acquire their unnamed fame as blood-laced sputum masks their death's last rattle. A glorious victory, men. The nation's proud. So many of the enemy have died. Your 1,000,000 lives a worthy sacrifice. And future combat? We have bravely vowed to fight with honor, lead the winning side, and on this polished oak, we'll roll the dice. That's it. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, we had a couple of late arrivals there. Kevin, did you have anything you wanted to share, Kevin, or you? No, just listening. Okay. And Fernando Smith, would you like to share something with us?
Would you like to do that now, Phil?
Yeah, if you've got one, share now. Yeah, and then we'll go around the circle again.
Actually, you just mentioned Armistice, John, and I have one here that a couple of nights ago it was the anniversary of, if anniversary is what we want to call it, of the Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass, which was a part of the deadly process of the pathway of fascism rising in the 1930s. And so called, of course, because of the amount of broken glass in the windows of Jews and other undesirables, according to the rising fascists at the time. The mountain falls, the sea she sighs, the wind is lost to stormy skies. Our open hearts become locked tight, throats await the cutter stealing through this night. Courage, my companions, keep your children near. The night is long, but the dark will clear.
Yeah. Has a resonance for today, doesn't it? Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. Right. Back to the start. It's me again. I've got one here called Do You Remember When? Do you remember when you used to stay up late and contemplate the meaning of the stars? But now you hurry off up the stairs, worn out by anxiety and worry. Fall into a restless slumber where we fear the mistakes made by a bumbler who's in charge. Will we quash the dreaded R number? We wonder, not with wide-eyed innocence, but with a growing cynicism, just a hint of primal fear. Is there danger near? We ask this question, one we really never gave much thought to before, in the before times, when life was on the whole carefree and freedom was a thing. True freedom seems only a memory, hopefully to be returned to us one day. Until then we are free, inside our dreams, if we can remember them. And that's that. Thank you. Kelly, do you have a second?
I do. I think most of you have probably heard me read this one before, but I got some good news about it today. It's going to be in the Aesthetica Creative Writing Anthology next year. So yeah, I'm really pleased about that. So I'm going to read it again. I know Jeanette likes it particularly. It's called To My Hands, and it's my life in a poem, really. To my hands. When I slid into the world, you came out clenched like two walnuts, then gradually uncurled like ferns, finding your way into mouths, eyes, porridge. Later, you wrapped yourselves around stubby pencils to form my first A's, B's, and C's. A few years on, I gnawed your nails in my worried teenage mouth, and your fingers made discoveries in the slick coral heart of me. Soon you moved fast enough to make boys spill their seed. You balanced cigarettes, held soggy joints, trailed in rivers beside lazy boats, fanned out like angelfish as I swam in the South China Sea. You wielded an editor's blue pen. Insert, rewrite, delete, stet. Later still, you learned to type on an Amstrad's QWERTY keyboard, sent faxes, never mastered text, graduated to desktops, laptops. In between, you rubbed off cradle cap, tested milk, too hot or just right, wiped babies' bottoms, smeared on cream, combed thistledown hair, snapped poppers, did minimal washing and ironing, waved tall sons off to university. You are still labouring, pecking away on keyboards, more stiffly now. Your veins form a relief map. Your papery skin has lines that gather on your finger joints. At night, I often wake to find you tightly clenched. Thanks.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. Richard. Is he doing Tai Chi? Is he there?
Looks like he's praying.
I'm on mute. Right, yes, I've done this one, I think, before a while ago, but it seemed appropriate because of the day. It's called The Great War, but it was billed as the war to end all wars, but it didn't do that, unfortunately. The war to end all wars, how great if that were true, yet across so many shores the battle cries renew. We will all pay our dues if the fighting continues. Can we to peace return, or will we never learn? For no war is great. The call up, that's not a blow, Ma. I fight for king and state. The great war. Death stalks the trenches, but he wins. The great war for king and nation. Soldiers we've never met, wiped out a whole generation. Never let us forget. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. There was a little bit of a crackling on the line, but we got most of it. That was quite moving. Thank you. Okay, Jeanette.
Just let's say extra special thanks to Kelly there for reading that again. It's one of my favourites. This one is called Showa. It's on the Remembrance theme too. Boycotted, then to ghetto, to the night of broken glass. Concentration labour camps, destroyed with fire and gas. A race of perfect people, no cripples, Jews or gay. Torture, devastation, humanity had no say. Hard labour, tired, hungry, feet marching, cold and sore, to 6 million Jewish murders and 11 million more. Give each Jewish victim just 1 minute for their strife, and you will be in silence 11.5 years of your life. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm detecting a theme emerging this evening, but it's we can't remember it on 11th of November. I mean, when can you? I mean, yeah, there's just you can't describe it. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Tony, what have you got for us? More being sick, I hope.
Well, yeah. I looked at a brochure for a cruise holidays. It was from from Saga, and this kind of got me thinking, and I have written this poem about it. Saga. He offer a boutique style of cruising, where nothing is too much trouble for our guests. All that you would want from fine hotels, except to go awake each day in a new idyllic location. Sightseeing excursions are included in the price at selected ports of call. They could not believe their luck. The first raid fell on Lindisfarne, defended by monks and eyed ducks. They used habits to wipe the blood from their battle axes, picked gold plate and jewel encrusted silver crosses and staggered back to the ship. Fine dining comes as standard, and all drinks are complimentary. In each of our restaurants, choose from red, white, rosé, and sparkling wine, beer or soft drinks. Talented artists will entertain you as you eat, drink, and look forward to tomorrow. The mead and the magic mushrooms did the trick. Hordes of berserkers piled ashore at Jarrow and Iona, and many another peaceful abbey. Headless monks and abbist nuns were ittered on the Viking trail. Bloodlust and plain lust ruled. Our luxury cabins have balconies, flat screen TV with movie channel, free Wi-Fi, small fridge, storage space for all of your special souvenirs. The list goes on. Even a writing desk is our complimentary headed paper, so you can set down your adventures. And that's it.
Yeah, fantastic. Wonder when the cruises will get up and going properly again. Okay, Susan, we're with you.
Pardon?
We're with you.
Hi. Welcome. I'm going to read out one that was from the Freiram thing that happened recently. I'm too tired to even know what it was, Philip. It was another version of Freiram, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It was.
Yeah. It was online and it was pre-recorded and all the things. So this is one of the poems that I offered to it. A biorhythmic pause is like a drumbeat, heartbeat, carrying news that time has stilled, and craving hearts not craven take up that beat, surround and symphonize in sympathy. Echoing quiet is encroached, the yearning need for space's chasm is constantly denied. I am the center of the target, concentric circles closing in. The shadow of another's body falls across the path of me and presses close behind. I strain to hear the newly silenced birds, and different blooms shake their heavily scented heads. The circle turns, memories fade, so I look up. From the center of this circle, I look up, blink in the strengthening rays, and spiral out.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was the one you read, yeah, in by the river at for the Freiram in the Freiram film. So, yeah, cool. George, we're back with you.
Hey, thanks, Phil. Yeah, I was trying to write something recently in response to a prompt which was about stop. So this is well, I'll just read the poem. First rung. I cannot move the next step. Despite Mum urging me to climb, the ladder to the loft will take me into Dad's space, where I can hear him, searching through the jumble of boxes, long shut cases reluctantly creaking open. He isn't supposed to be up there, not since the stroke. When he leaves my house, I watch him adjust his stick, get rock steady, then plough away, every step an effort of concentration. Now he is balancing on beams because he wants a long lost Christmas decoration, and Mum needs me to rescue him. He will be wearing polished Oxford shoes, their leather sole bound to slip on wood. Flannels with turnips and my school belt with the metal S clasp, and my school blazer, still with the badge he meant to cut off, but as he rarely wears it outside, has not. He will want me to stay and help him search. I have a premonition who will fall, and it's not him, for this is the man who last month climbed 30 feet up a ladder to cement a crack in the chimney. If I go on, I will throw my tetchiness against his intransigence, and so I quite like sometimes ending poems without ending them.
Yeah, you caught us out there.
you can't see the three dots. I can't remember what you call that now. But
I thought you were going for
E-
like the Sopranos.
Ellipsis.
that's it, Kelly. Thank you.
Yeah. It was a ladder hanger rather than a cliffhanger.
Hey,
Just left us all in the lurch. It's like those records that suddenly end and catches the DJ by surprise, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, put another one on." Very good.
cool. Oh, that's just perfect for Zoom, where you're like, has he just frozen? What's going on?
Yeah, I thought.
It probably just means that I can't think of how to finish it. But I tell you, it's a technical tour de force to do that.
I'll try. Yeah, I'll maybe do that sometime.
I think it works well for that poem.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to do it too often, though, otherwise people might just think you don't know how to end them.
I did it when I forgot the last page of the story.
Oh,
At
yeah.
SpeakEasy, do you remember?
Yes.
We thought that was the greatest act of sort of building suspense for the next Speakeasy ever. I mean, you have to come back for part 2.
Yeah, it made them all come back though, didn't it?
It did. We need more of it, Marilyn. More of that.
I'll tell you about the last page of the story a little bit later.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued now. Where are we up to? David, have you got another one for us?
Yeah, I have got another one. During the last week of September and the 1st of October, I went on a pilgrimage from St Mungo's Cathedral in Glasgow to St Ninian's Cave and the Isle of Whithorn. It's called the Whithorn Way. I'd never done a walk that long before. I'd never been on a pilgrimage of any kind before. So there's quite a lot of thought, apprehension, and so on. The first night with a friend of mine who I walked with, we stayed at a hotel in Glasgow, the Brunswick Merchant, and I was sitting there in my little room, which looked a bit like a monk's cell in a way, thinking about the 2 weeks ahead. And I wrote this, which I called Room E Nations. The Brunswick Merchant Hotel looks big, but the room is rather small. Shades of grey, restful, but rather warm. 3 paces one way, by 7 the other. Shower, bath, and lavatory, shelves, and hanging space. The whole suggests a cell, not for a prisoner, but for a monk. But for the kettle, coffee, tea, and milk, and sugar, sweetener too, of course. A starting point. I'm on a pilgrimage, joining Kentigern, they call him Mungo here, with Ninian down in Whithorn, 143 miles, 2 weeks away. Time and space to think, reflect, and walk, and find what prompted them to follow their vocation, find out what we've lost across the passing years, schism, fragmentation, action and reaction, the laying of layers of doctrine, dogma, doing it this way and not that. Which knee genuflects, and does it really matter? For now, my room in shades of grey is where I am and where I start. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great. John Scrivens, have you another?
Yeah, can I say in passing that the Fireground thing was great. It must have taken ages to compile, but it was very good. Thank you. This is the other one about the war, more from the point of view of just the one soldier, really. Armistice. And when the guns fall silent, think a while. For every precious moment bloody won, one man's no longer sighted by a gun. Allow him then a cheer, a tear, a smile. An end to toppling fairground ducks in file. No need to flinch from shells nor wish to run. No heaving stomach fighting one to one. No long, long days to gain the stinking mile. To run the field together, climb the stile, to silhouette the lark against the sun. Of doubts and wasting time there will be none. He'll see his lovely Lucy tease, beguile. Hostilities resumed, return to fight. His forehead hold, the day slides into night. So,
Thank you very much. Well, okay. Fernando Smith, can you follow that? I'm sure you can.
If I don't switch my microphone on.
Do it in mime.
Bonfire night. Where I was brought up, a place called Fishpool in Bury, and if you go back, it's the streets, it's rows of terraces, still cobbled, and if you go back and go to the cross sections of all the back streets, in the middle of each cross section, you'll find a tattoo on the cobbles, a tattoo of ancient bonfires. I don't know if they still carry on. And each street had their own bonfire. And they're still there, these tattoos, these memories imprinted on the cobbles. And on those same cobbles, my fake Uncle Ken would park his car just in front of the goalpost drawn on the wall at the gable end of the house. He'd do it on purpose so that we couldn't play football. Or in summer, he'd park it in front of the chalked cricket stumps on the gable end of the house. And we hated fake Uncle Ken. This was in the days where you could have a fake uncle without it being particularly dodgy. And but we had our revenge in a number of ways. And one of the ways in which we had our revenge was he used to love going to the local market, Bury Market. Of course, it's famous for its markets, Bury. And he'd buy cheap paperbacks, the sort of pulp paperbacks, westerns and World War II paperbacks that the whole story hinges on the last page, where you find who done it or where the gold is hidden, and or whether victory is ours. And so what do? You remove the last page. We were horrible children, and we're paying for it now with arthritic hips and lockjaw and other interminable diseases. And he'd come into the house and he'd sit by underneath the cage holding the budgie that we'd acquired from him because he used to breed budgies, which is a whole other story. And he'd sit there, he'd read the book, and when we knew he was coming toward the end of the book, we'd sit in eager anticipation, eating crumpets with butter dripping down our fingers, watching, waiting. And he'd turn the page and he'd look down and he'd make a sort of sound, shake his head and have another whiskey. And he never used to complain. It was this internal anger that he contained for the rest of his life. He was the angriest dog on the street. He once told a story of, in the war, he worked doing some sort of secret work in Manchester, he told us. And he said one night he drove from Manchester to Bolton and was followed by a Messerschmitt. And even when it stopped, to do deliveries. The Messerschmitt was there hovering above him, he told us. And of course, we were young, we were children. We believed him. I'd like to think it's true. Although what he certainly did was he guided the Messerschmitts to Oldham, to Bolton. Anyway, this really doesn't have an awful lot to do with that, other than it's set in the past and it references Bury. So, with a professional segue such as this, c'est la vie. This sadness inherited from the northern streets, the papered parlours with best crockery on show, set aside for special occasions mainly involving a death. This condition, grown to become my own, entered me like damp, plumping up my skin, slipping through the pores, settling in the spine, disfiguring, arthritic, generational. Our modest homes where parents tried to do the right thing. We ate from scabbed knees, our plates balanced on books, plasters wrapped around grubby fingers, sometimes falling out over a programme and making up in front of the whole family in front of the television. Make no mistake, we weren't stupid. Our intelligence was of the soil. Our instincts honed hard as knuckled curbstones, and from watching, always watching for opportunity or survival. Left with neighbours, grandparents, aunts in rooms ghosted by a quiet drunk in the corner, more than not. Sometimes forgetting time, then remembering to go back home to face the music. This was our way. I have lived through moments I wouldn't wish upon you. Turn around. Take another street, my dear child. Transform your DNA. Change your diet. Leave behind all regret to melt like a rusting print in the slush. We who remain have to live with our grief. ...
I've got to go. See you all next time. That was great.
Thanks, Kelly. Bye. Wow, that was good. That was a real slice of Bury life there.
I lied. I was brought up in Knightsbridge.
Oh, well, it's all it's all a lie, a wonderful lie. Yeah.
Did you go to the opposite of elocution lessons?
Not backwards. I'm not quick enough.
Yeah, me too. I was how to speak like a northerner.
Yeah.
Cut glass, really.
It was very popular in 1977.
Still is. Cool. All right. Yeah. All right. Back to me. This one, I don't know, bit of a random one. Long, cold, lonely nights. Don't know what you expect me to say, but it's not right. I'm not sure how to get you to stay with me all night. But it's a long, long, cold, lonely night. I close my eyes and in my dreams we're running wild now. See the sun and the moon through the leaves come shining down now. I see it in your spirit standing there. That magic in your eyes is flowing through your tousled hair. You got no cares, but it ain't straightforward from here. You wrapped around my brain, you made me go insane. You fly me like a plane, ride me like a train. I don't want to crash off the tracks. Feels like I'm under attack. Wonder should I pull on the brake? I don't want to make a mistake. And it's a long, long, cold, lonely night. Living ain't easy, giving is hard to do. Words can hurt or heal, or please and tease you. Just gotta find the strength to get on through. It's okay to be afraid and stumble in the dark. Just need a little help and find yourself a spark. One step closer to working out your troubles. And there's a rescue light way down the end of the tunnel. And there's no more long, cold, lonely nights. And that's it. Thank you. Okay, Kelly's disappeared. So, Richard, we're with you. Do you have another one to share?
Yes, I do, and it's a rather serious one, really, but it's quite important, particularly if you're getting old, like most of us are. It's called "Steer Clear of Dementia." It gives you a little bit of advice. Apparently, the secret with dementia is avoid head injuries. Make sure that you eat what are called foods that are good for your heart, because they're also good for your circulation and brain. So, and avoid having genetic predispositions. So choose your parents carefully, as they always say.
Apparently, cold water swimming is very good for a stable dementia as well.
Well, I don't know whether it is or it just frightens people into not forgetting things so much. I don't know, but they did say that on the news, I must admit, but I'm not sure if it's only a hint, so it's not a definite thing yet, I don't think. So anyway, the jury's still out, but keep swimming because it's probably doing you lots of good. But it's too cold for me. I wouldn't go in unless it was at least 37 degrees. It's too damn cold. Ugh, horrible. The thought of it. Ugh, can't stand it.
Well,
anyway.
Internally, you're 37 degrees, Richard, so that should be enough for you.
37?
Thereabouts.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it was, but it's usually about 5, and that's just ridiculous. Even seals have blubber on their bodies for that sort of temperature. Anyway, Steer Clear of Dementia, it's called, and it starts like this. The longer you live, the more likely you are to die. We want to survive and even hope for eternity. Though we must all leave and hope that our own death will be quick. But can we achieve a lifetime without being sick? It's such a sad lot if you don't have the compunction when your mind is shot and your brain ceases to function. So keep alert with puzzles and good exercise, for that will not hurt when your brain withers and dries. That robs you of skill and places you in confusion. Precious memories spill out and all seems an illusion. Your mind was once keen, now your former self just a shell. All the things you've been slowly slipping away as well. Can't recognize kin, friends and neighbours look like strangers. What goes on within? No longer safe from life's dangers. Are you a lost soul with no chance of thoughts of your own? Have you lost control and losing everything that you've ever known? Hold your mind intact. It's a fight that's worth fighting for. Don't wonder but act to do all in your power and more. Keep your eyes on the ball with no wish to be isolated. On side above all, as socially we are created. And that's another factor, is that, yeah, that's the end of it. Being with people is also good for you, which in these lockdown times is bad for some people that are isolated and lonely. But anyway, that's just another factor. There you go.
Thank you very much. That was great. Yeah, I think, yeah, that social factor is a big part of staving it off, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's the saddest thing at the moment is seeing elderly people in care homes and their relatives have to be outside just waving through the glass at them. You know, it's just, and they don't even understand what's going on, some of them. So it's terribly sad. There we go.
I'm hoping your advice is on the national health, Richard.
Sadly not, no. But it ought to be.
Yeah, it should be. If you're a doctor, can't you talk to somebody and get it?
I should probably work on that, yeah.
Yeah. You'll know
As long
something.
as you're not round in the morning with the bill.
Cool. Where are we up to? Jeanette, do you have one for us?
I do, just a quick little haiku, and it's another Remembrance Day themed one. And I've got a little drawing to go with it as well. I don't know if you can see that all right. So it's a silent standstill. How easily we forget after 2 minutes. And that is that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was lovely. Yeah. It's not much to ask, is it? Just 2 minutes to stop and remember. Thank you very much. Tony.
Right. I'm I am I get off after this one, as I have to do some Amelie stuff now, but yeah, so I'll get this one done anyway. It is Remembrance Day, of course, and it's also the day that we've passed the 50,000 deaths from a pandemic, and it is a poem I wrote a few months ago. It was after the first wave, and things were looking a lot better then, and it all came out of it all came out of a text message I got from somebody, and he didn't use the spell checker or anything. It's called IVID. I had a text from a mate. He'd ended the lockdown drought. We've come back cask ale in a pub. Cheers, he said. He was half drunk and hoped he wouldn't catch IVID, the wisdom of spell check. COVID has been IVID. I texted back, and for emojis, I went with a rainbow, a cry face, a cry with a laughter face, and a couple more rainbows. And later I thought of COVID colors, the tape bordering those lecterns, the red and yellow for stay home, then green and yellow for stay alert. In those city centres, the yellow and black for hazard tape, like nature's warning, snakes or poison frogs in swamps. Red for faces, ink, lines crossed. Add a Ularama or national flags, each caught on its own thorn bush. In endless springtime radiance, even gentler things seemed vivid. Blue for skies, tunics and smocks, and white for flounces of tree blossom, and the lilies on the coffins and graves. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll be off now then.
Okay, you take care, Tony. See you soon. Bye.
Cheers then. All the best.
All right. Susan.
Can I just ask, Philip, are we experiencing the super fast, wonderful, upgraded version of Zoom, courtesy of Called You Press tonight?
Well, yeah, we've had to splash out on the 14 quid or whatever for the John Hegley thing, and it's for the whole month, so I figured...
There's no curbing Fernando Smith at the end of the night.
No, we're not going to cut off. Fernando Smith can do his song, and we won't get cut off.
Oh, no.
No, it's not going to end on a ...
No ellipsis here. He can go on for weeks. Okay.
Yeah, but I thought, might as well use it for... but it's only for this month, so...
Yeah.
Because we're cheapskates. So.
You can just carry on for an entire sort of 4 and a bit weeks. Like a marathon.
I think, yeah, maybe.
Wonderful.
We could keep going about our business and then checking back in to make sure that you're still here and Philip has still had to stay on and host it. That could be fun.
Yeah, you'd be able to record what is really my life, just talking into empty air with nobody really listening.
Wow, snap, my life's like that.
I hope you've got 2 bales of hay there, Philip.
I'm not, I'm in a dilemma.
Oh, you want to just say to John Hegley, well, if you could just carry on until it cuts off.
Really yeah, we'll try that with him. Yeah. That'll get him back for stealing your glasses.
Did John Hegley steal Mark's glasses?
Yeah. Well, I don't know who's got them.
Are you just accusing John Hegley of stealing your glasses? You don't actually...
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Shocking.
He's not to be trusted. He stole my mother, he stole my words, he stole my glasses, you dirty thief.
Are you going to approach him with this accusation on Saturday?
No, he's a madman, he's a psychopath. He's dangerous.
So sign up, roll up.
I suspect he knows that Monty Python, that, the joke that was so funny, it killed you if you read it.
Yeah.
As you were told it.
You maybe wrote it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Apple Trees at Gosling Syke. Global potential with a star inside. Out of twigs and rain, sustenance is born. The nurturing goddess overcoming original sin. Take, eat of me, eat of my flesh, become one with the world, breathe with earthy rhythm, weeping circular tears of dew, and cast off leaves and shadows.
Very good. Is Gosling Sike is who's the poet in residence there? Or the writer in residence?
Let me think. Poet in residence at Gosling Sike. Boy, that'd be me.
Ah,
Not that I've had any kind of, we did some online workshops and things, but we kind of got it confirmed as, and then suddenly the world went into lockdown. So it's been a bit of an uneventful writer in residency, but hopefully next year will be a bit different. And there'll be lots of different things growing there next year because it's a brand new nature reserve. So it'll actually be full of nature next year.
cool. Oh well, we look forward to that. George.
What's there now, Susan?
Oh.
Pardon?
What's there now if not nature?
Oh, there is nature, but it's small nature. There'll be big nature next year. Things will have grown and sort of, taken hold properly. It's gone quite wild because if they'd had all their kids' workshops in and school parties and whatever, they'd have had to have maintained it quite. I've no brain to think of words. They'd have had to really tidied it up for kids being there, but because it's just been left to its own devices, really, with people going in and just checking the paths are fine. It's gone kind of mini wilderness. It's been quite nice.
Cool. All right. Yes, George, do you have another one for us?
I've got a quick one. I'll put it on it. I was just going to say to Richard, I mean, the ideal diet, of course, is sausages and red wine. That's my cure for everything, sausages and red wine. And if you can't get the sausages, don't worry too much. So this is I wasn't.
Sounds a very Scottish diet, that one. You've got to have it with the deep fried Mars bar, I would think.
No. Oh, come on now. No, that's a sacrilege. You eat Mars bars as Mars bars, ideally from the fridge.
You dunk the sausages. You dunk them in your wine like rich tea biscuits in coffee.
I actually haven't tried that.
Well, I should.
Yeah. Sticking with this theme from earlier, I suppose, this is Remember. Did I tell you how he fell? Gun slipping from his fingers, other hand clutching his chest, rolled down the grassy bank, lay motionless in the ditch, leg thrown theatrically into the garden hedge. He had to die, for today he was a German stormtrooper, and I was one of the good guys in my Davy Crockett hat. Tommy jumped up when his dad shouted, "Time to go," ran to the shiny two-tone car with the everlasting wax poppy, the only one ever bought in our school, wired to the grill.
Very good.
I don't know if you can still get those. They used to sell these whacking great things made out of like wax and everything that people, if you had money, and I mean, I'm talking about serious money, when everyone was paying tuppence from their poppy or something like that, folk paid like £2 to get a whack, and then it was wired onto their car, and then they drove about with it for a year and more to show everybody that they were someone that could afford a bloody great big wax poppy. Anyway, sorry. There's nothing like being socialistly mad.
I don't know if you can still get those. I remember the old red noses that cars and vans and stuff, and then you wouldn't take them off, and you just see these battered red noses sort of half hanging off of like a Ford Transit. like that's been on for 15 years.
That's like trying to navigate Socky Hall Street on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Where are we at to? David, do you have another?
Yeah, I have another one. During my 2 weeks pilgrimage, we rested up twice. We spent a day in Troon and we spent a day in Girvan. The day we spent in Girvan, it poured with rain all day. So we were grateful to be sitting there rather than walking through it all. And this is simply a poem about that day, and it's called, evidently enough, Rain. The rain, incessant rain, drops and drips in flows on Girvan. Damp, drab Girvan. Retail outlets closed and up for sale. Damper, drabber in the wet. Not cold, nor warm, but in between. A pilgrim halt on Whithorn Way. Our feet have carried us this far, and here we rest, regaining strength and waiting out the rain, waiting out today before tomorrow's onward walk. Another stage, a further stage, uphill and on to Galloway, where we are bound. But not today. Today's a day of rest, recovery, as we wait on the rain, incessant rain, washing watched out Girvan in the wet. Sorry, Girvan, but it's rather a depressing sort of place, particularly now in the time of lockdown, where so many retail outlets are shut, and it really looked extremely sorry for itself.
And in the rain as well, that'll just added to it. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing.
It cheered up after that, and we had beautiful weather from there on, so it was all right.
Cool. John Scrivens, do you have another for us?
Well, just a quickie. At the beginning of the year, seems ages ago, we had a series of events to celebrate dark skies in Lawton, and this is one of several haiku. We enjoy dark skies. In bright cities, some children never see the sky. So,
yeah, very good. Yeah, you get that horrible orange glow, don't you, from all the streetlights that block out the stars and things. Yeah, yeah. No, the dark skies are quite something when you see them. Cool. All right, Fernando Smith.
Do you know, I've had every poem that's been read has reminded me of something. I've had a thought and an anecdote, and I've really had to restrain myself.
Well, we're on limited time. Don't restrain yourself.
Okay. I will just mention George's sausage and wine, which reminded me of when I lived up just on the English side of the border some years ago, and the local pub on the English side of the border had a Burns night soiree. And they asked someone on the northern side of the border to come and read for the pub, and they got in a long shelf of whiskies. And anyway, the chap didn't turn up, and so there was a crowd in the pub, and the landlord said, "I'm really sorry, but Norris hasn't turned up." And everyone just in unison cried out, "Just drink the fucking whiskey then." And Girvan, in the words of Ronnie Scott, it's a lovely place to come from. Changing the mood entirely to something somber, and years ago, I had a pal, an old climbing pal from my climbing days, and who sadly ended his life by jumping. He drank some whiskey. He went up to the top and drank some whiskey and jumped at some point in the night. And I thought about this for many years, and thought about him I'd seen him fall many times safely when he was climbing. And I imagined him in mid-air, and what could possibly, if anything, go through your head, through your mind, and that condition of stasis, of being in between. And it's called Jumper. Perched, not falling, not really standing on the solid earth. Somewhere in between, a half-formed idea of gravity. Somewhere in between, dance and abandon. In your mind's eye, are you not yet climbing the final steps? Pressing elevator buttons, already gone, destined to dismiss the trapeze, or maybe not going at all, instead retreating like a shy tide, or a person not yet ready to burst across the calloused palm of a beckoning pavement. This acrobat, still navigating the way towards a different notion of flying.
Thank you very much. That was very moving. Okay, that's the end of round 3. Do we want to do another, or do we want to call it a night? Who wants to do one more?
I'll have to go actually, Philip. There's
Okay.
been someone trying to get hold of me. I think there's been some sad news somewhere that I need to catch up with.
Oh, I'm
But,
sorry to hear that, George.
No, I mean not a close friend, but I mean just someone. Sorry, everyone's a close friend, really. But you know what I mean. But I just need to try and catch up with something. Thanks very much. It's been a lovely night, guys. Thanks very much. See you again, hopefully.
Take care.
I'd have to say good night to everybody too. Okay, see you next time.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, Janet.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night,
Shall
Susan.
Shall we just call it an end there? It's been a lovely evening.
It has been great.
Thank you.
Maybe this is how everything will end.
I know, it's just when
We
people
all one
just
by
crack on.
one say good night and thank you and good night and
Give
slip
yourself-
off the mortal coil.
Yeah, can just end up with a thumbs up. That's
Yeah.
what happens then. Thumbs up, and we're out.
It reminds me of, you know, the
Start.
profound things we don't say when you think, I have to think of something good to say, my last words. I always reminds me of William Burroughs and the last words of Dutch Schultz, which was, never has a boy loved nor dashed 1,000 Kim. And nobody knows what it means, and I suspect it means nothing at all.
Yeah. It was as good as the, was it Spike Milligan? I told you I was ill.
Yeah.
I have a friend whose grandmother said last words were, "I'm dying for a cup of tea." And that's where her daughter went off to make her one, and when she came back, she was not quick enough.
Too long, yeah.
I have a long story about a budget and a cat and demise, but maybe another time.
Maybe another time.
What happened there was she didn't stop at ... She carried on and finished the sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Give yourselves a round of applause, everybody who read. Just quickly do that. Everybody who listened, thank you very much for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. And as I say, there's still a few spaces for the John Hegley workshop. If anybody would like to join us on Saturday morning, just give us a message or an email and we can sort that out. And yeah, good to see you all. Stay safe.
Likewise, thanks for the invitation. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Phil.
Right.
Cheers. Have a safe trip home. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.